Looks like it's time to get started. Appreciate everybody getting a chance to join us today. We have a super exciting panel that we are really excited to get into. So this is just another edition of Off the Chain Twitter Spaces. Today we have a pretty amazing panel that's going to be talking about AI's rising influence, reshaping Web3, and paving the path for innovation. Just to kind of give you guys a quick look at the guest panel that we're going to have today. We have Jack He, who's the co-founder of Aspecta. We have Hoansoo, who's the co-founder of exaBITS. We have Muhammad Hamza, who's the CMO and creative director at GPT Guru. We have Toufi Saliba, who's the author of Toda IP and the CEO at HyperCycle AI. And we have Metavurse, who's the
HyperCycle. HyperCycle.
HyperCycle.
Not HyperScale. Sorry.
HyperCycle AI. My apologies.
There are a lot of fakers out there, not HyperScale. HyperCycle.
HyperCycle AI. My apologies. And we have Metavurse, who is the head of partnerships at Alethea AI. So awesome panel that we have today. But before we start, I do have our disclaimer that we do have to read. So the information provided is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, and availability or completeness of such information. The statements or opinions expressed in these events are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bitmart or its affiliates and shall not be considered professional financial investment advice. All crypto investments are highly speculative in nature and involve substantial risk of loss. Past hypothetical or simulated performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The value of digital currencies can go up or down, and there can be a substantial risk in buying, selling, holding, or trading digital currencies. You should carefully consider whether trading or holding digital currencies is suitable for you based on your personal investment objectives, financial circumstances, and risk tolerance. So now that we got that out of the way, super excited to get into our amazing guest lineup today. So I'm going to start off with each of our guests, and if you could just give us a brief introduction about yourself and your company and project. So I guess we can start with Jack He, who's the co-founder of Aspecta. If you could...
Yeah, sure. Hi, thanks for inviting me to be part of this fantastic panel. My name is Jack. I'm the co-founder of Aspecta. So Aspecta is AI-powered digital identity protocol where we use large language model and graph learning to help innovators to utilize this credential based on their Web2 and Web3 footprint insights. So right now we focus more on developers. So we have this digital identity, AI-powered digital identity for developers to demonstrate, document, and explore opportunities based on their GitHub insight, Twitter insight, and on-chain transaction insight. And also at the same time, we provide this developer ecosystem and services for leading layer 1, layer 2, and developer-focused community to vitalize and grow their developer community based on Aspect ID and the identity infrastructure.
Awesome. Appreciate the context there. Super excited to hear more. I would love to pass it over to Hoansoo, who is the co-founder of exaBITS.
Thank you. My name is Hoansoo, co-founder of exaBITS. exaBITS is a decentralized computing network for affordable AI at scale. We reduce the cost of training and executing large AI models and other computationally intensive applications by up to 80% of what traditional cloud services would charge. We do this by partitioning and distributing computing loads over a large pool of weak GPUs and idle computing resources, meaning zero overhead costs of cooling, real estate, and large consumption of grid-drawn power. And also utilizing idle resources means zero marginal cost of bandwidth. Our network is currently active with more than 60,000 GPUs, servicing half a dozen paying customers in gaming, retail, and Web3.
Awesome. Appreciate all the context there. Excited to learn more, especially about the storage space. So appreciate that. Would love to pass it over to Toufi Saliba, who is the author of Toda, IP, and CEO at HyperCycle AI.
Thanks so much for stressing this. My name is Toufi Saliba. I am the author of Toda IP, and in fact, that's one of the reasons why I was called into running this project. And effectively, HyperCycle enables agent-to-agent, peer-to-peer collaboration. It's a dream of AI scientists that has been around since the 60s and 80s. And Marvin Minsky talked about it in 1983 and published the book in 1986. But I feel like we got to a point in the world where crypto can help AI to enable the smallest agent to collaborate with another agent. And if you can think of how exponential power that can provide when you have multi-agent systems at the micro level. And effectively, with that, it can also enable the competition between smallest agents. So we've launched HyperCycle a few months ago, and it's been going great.
Awesome. Excited to learn more about HyperCycle. And lastly, we have Metavurse, who is the head of partnerships at Alethea AI.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Meta-Era and Bitmart, for putting this together. And thanks for letting me share the stage with everybody here. My name's Brent. I'm the head of partnerships at Alethea AI. Alethea AI is an R&D studio that we're building at the intersection of AI and blockchain. While we have a number of things being developed, at present, we have already created an ecosystem that allows for NFTs to be embedded with AI using a customizable NFT that we call the intelligence pod. This process effectively creates what we call an intelligent NFT or INFT. The best way to think about this, we use an analogy of mind, body, and soul. So every person has a mind, body, and soul. And you can think of INFTs this way. So the body is an ERC 721 asset that you'll have in your wallet. A Bored Ape is a great example. The soul is our own asset that's an ERC 721 as well. It's an intelligence pod. These have varying intelligence levels. When you have these two assets and you fuse them on the AI protocol, effectively linking them, you'll get an INFT, which has access to the mind, which is our AI. And so this effectively imbues AI into your original NFT. The first INFT that we created was Alice. Her personality was trained on Alice in Wonderland and the Satoshi white paper. This was created with OpenAI's GPT-3, and we actually auctioned this off at Sotheby's for around $500,000. And now we're bringing that to all NFTs. And again, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Super excited to learn more about this intersection of NFTs and putting AI within 721 standards. So super excited to learn more about that. So appreciate everybody giving us and the audience, more importantly, context on what you guys are working on. As AI continues to evolve, there's a lot of what I hope is a lot of really great overlap between Web3 and AI. So I'd love to kind of pick everybody's brain a little bit on what are some of the key areas in Web3 where you think AI can play a crucial role and contribute to its advancement. Let's start off with Toufi.
Thank you. In fact, in 2013, I introduced something to the world, what's called AI decentralized. And at the time, most AI scientists, they were like, what the hell are you talking about? Subsequently, ACM allowed me to make the introduction using, I don't know if you know ACM, the Association for Computing Machinery. It's the #1 computer science in the world. It's the issuance of the Turing Award. In 2016, they got me to demo it to a lot of board members there, and then they gave me a role where I introduced it to the world with that in 2017. And it's effectively with ACM folks, they started listening, and AI decentralized was geared to educate the world about the power of AI to be decentralized. If it's not decentralized, a single entity may get to AGI first. And if it does get to AGI first, artificial general intelligence, it's capable of using that AGI to make itself better and better and better, and then effectively put everyone behind, which is why you notice for the last few years, there's a race towards getting to AGI first. But that's extremely dangerous because even if you ask folks from Google or Tencent or Microsoft or any government, do you want your entity to get to AGI first? And then they're scared. It's probably the most dangerous thing if a single entity get to AGI first. So yeah, fast forward when you look at when my term was finished with the ACM, I was the global chair for the practitioners board with the conference committee. IEEE contacted me and they asked me if I want to do the same. IEEE, it's the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. It is perhaps the largest in the world. If you were to look at 400,000 members and it's covering every single nation, and it's geared towards enabling everyone on a planet. It doesn't have any religion or political association. And so they asked, hey, did you want to do the same? And I'm like, no, let's do something more actionable. Let's enable engineers around the world to actually build AI decentralized. And then COVID happened, slowed it down a bit, but it continues now to make some progress, not as fast as, because it is all not for profit, so it doesn't really have any financial model into it. And that's fast forward to the point in time where I was attending the AGI conference in California at the Computer History Museum in August 2021. And many AI scientists realized that maybe it's time to actually rebuild it as opposed to wait. So effectively, what we truly believe in, what we're doing here is with HyperCycle, is building the internet of AI. We're not AI. Every single AI entity can benefit from that. The same way there's internet for people, we can cooperate and collaborate. When there's an internet of AI, when there's a peer-to-peer enablement for every single AI agent, we truly believe that the entire world can get to AGI first as opposed to a single entity. And folks in the crypto space seem to understand that really well. When you have the entire world getting to AGI first, it's a lot safer than having a single entity. So yeah, I think they can go hand in hand. It's kind of like Romeo and Juliet when you look at AI and cryptography. It's quite fascinating that we see the conversions happening this year.
Wow. Yeah, appreciate you walking us through all of that. I think there's just so much to unpack there. But would love to pass it off to Jack from Aspecta and kind of hear your take on where you see the Web3 and AI intersection.
Yeah, I think they are kind of like the interaction between AI and Web3. One is like the direct intersection between AI and Web3, like the decentralized computation or etc. And the other kind of intersection between Web3 and AI is kind of like what Aspect are trying to do is use AI technology to create such a credential ecosystem or whatever. But in this ecosystem, some aspect has some interaction with on-chain, which means the AI algorithm is not directly like innovated by the blockchain. So I think there is two kind of like innovation between or intersection between Web3 and AI. Yeah, I just want to introduce more about the intersection between between AI and Web3 in Aspecta. So generally speaking, I think there are two aspects. The first aspect is that we use AI to understand both your on-chain and off-chain data inside to generate these verifiable credentials. And then I think the second aspect is that all the Aspect ID holders, they have their own options to put this like verifiable credential to on-chain, because Aspect ID is fully self-sovereignty. So which means the Aspect ID has this on-chain aspect. And last but not least, I think the most important aspect between important intersection of AI and Web3 in Aspecta is that in this identity ecosystem where these innovators could utilize, store, and transfer this verifiable credential across Web2 and 3, this whole ecosystem is powered by token, which has a Web3 aspect. So I think Aspecta is another example how AI and Web3 could harmony work with each other. It might not has to be very direct application for AI to be applied on blockchain, but there is always like this comfort zone or this like very interesting aspect where AI and Web3 can be dynamically interact with each other. One thing I do want to mention is that I think in Aspecta identity ecosystem there is one important integration with ZKML, which I believe ZKML will be a very important part in the future between AI and Web3. Because whenever we want to apply AI algorithm in a Web3 framework, I think the trustless is the most important thing. So traditionally, like AI algorithm is a black box. No one never know how the model goes down. But with ZKML, we are able to build this trustless algorithm. So especially for Aspect ID, I think because of the ZKML, we have this trust from the community because people know how the algorithm works, how this credential could be generated, and also because in the ZKML there are some mechanism we can like also protect the privacy. So yeah, for me, I think there are much more explore between AI and Web3, no matter it's a direct intersection or some kind of intersection that is not directly applied between AI and blockchain. Yeah, I'm always very excited about the intersection between AI and Web3.
Yeah, could not agree more. Think there's a lot of places, and looks like you guys are right at the center of it all. Would love to pass it to Hoansoo from exaBITS and get your take on, where do you think kind of Web3 and AI intersect, and where do you think Web3 plays a role in AI?
Sure, thanks. And I'll keep my answer short and to the point. So more than how AI will contribute toward Web3 advancement, we're more interested in how Web3 can contribute toward AI and in turn positively shape and advance Web3. So AI safety, data privacy, democratization of AI models, disintermediated access for user sovereignty, provision and alignment of incentives across the ecosystem to encourage rich development of applications. We think these are the cornerstones of Web3 solutions to really give life to artificial intelligence.
I love the way you phrase that. It's not just what can Web3 do for AI, but what can AI do for Web3, but it's actually what Web3 can play a role in the advancement of AI. So appreciate the context there, and I would love to pass it over to Metavurse and kind of hear your take on where these two intersect.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna have to agree 100% with Hoansoo on that. So the way I see it, AI inherently is an abundance engine. So AI provides any image, any answer, anything at your fingertips. You can ask it, and the output comes, right. Where blockchain is a scarcity model, where it proves ownership and it's also verifiable. So I personally see Web3 and blockchain bringing the provenance to all of the things that are created through AI, and also the layer of verifiability to ensure this person is who they say they are. This image is not artificially not created with AI. I think blockchain in itself is going to bring a lot of benefits to AI, and the intersection is just getting started.
Could not agree more that we're just getting these things started. We're just scratching the surface. So switching gears a little bit, I'd love to kind of get a better idea for the audience of what role AI plays in your product, and if you could maybe share some specific examples of how you feel AI plays a pretty substantial role in your product. If we can start with Hoansoo.
Sure, thanks. So when we began our company a year and a half ago, we struggled to identify a compelling initial market application for decentralized compute. So although edge computing can drastically improve processing latency and volume, the thickness and scale of the network necessary to demonstrate a compelling value proposition for the appropriate market application was really a big challenge for us. So we considered storage and content streaming in the beginning, but it was really the unveiling of ChatGPT earlier this year that really defined our calling as the Web3 solution to address the needs of AI computation. So performing high volume linear algebra to train and make inference is an ideal exercise for distributed compute because AI tasks can be efficiently partitioned and orchestrated while being less sensitive to latency and variable node architecture. So in particular, we see a clear cost advantage in providing high performance compute for computer vision models. So for us, AI is the dominant downstream application. And as AI deployment is currently in early stages, we really see opportunities to showcase customized examples as part of our go-to-market strategy.
Wow. I think there's a lot to unpack there, and very exciting about how you guys are integrating AI. Would love to pass it over to Toufi and hear a little bit about maybe at HyperCycle how AI is playing a role.
Yeah, I was actually going to jump in here with. I did not know about exaBITS, and I'm glad to see what they're doing. I couldn't agree more. I feel like what we're noticing with HyperCycle, we're basically a software company. What we're building is more like the synapses of the global brain. If you were to think every single AI is a neuron, and neurons, when they talk to each other, they don't really check with central brain. They go through synapses. And that's the analogy that we use. So the HyperCycle computation node is more like the synapses that can enable those to talk peer-to-peer. We have about 211,000 nodes that we have sold, and we have home for about 52,000 of them. So there's about 160,000 looking for home. So when I look at what the previous gentleman, Hoansoo, is talking about, that's extremely beneficial because that is the bottleneck of the entire industry is having more and more AI compute. So almost every computing center is looking into getting some of that AI compute and providing because of the demand. According to Jensen, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, the supply has been growing about 4x per year when you measure through the speed. You know what that means? That's 1 million times over the last 10 years. And continues that the demand has been higher than the supply. That's unprecedented in human history. So there's a lot of folks that for example, they do crypto mining. They become very sophisticated running compute. So they're also coming to us and then trying to run AI compute as well. We don't do AI compute. I feel like a lot of folks like exaBITS and whatnot, they can facilitate that. What we provide is those tiny little nodes to connect with each other. So I think that the bottleneck for the entire industry is providing more and more compute to be very efficient. To put things in perspective, one of our clients measured when you run AI compute and you spend, let's say, $5 on electricity, it turns out that it's a lot more profitable than almost any compute that you were to spend that $5 on. So that's also a huge driver for people that they want to provide that AI compute. It's without necessarily quoting them, but it's something that's staggering, like about 37x higher than any other compute that they were to run. 37x, right? So it's like fascinating. So when you look at folks providing a lot of distributed GPUs or whatnot, I think it's timely to do that. And I feel like almost everyone on the planet should be able to partake in providing AI compute, whether you run it on your own device or you use your device to be the remote, kind of like the remote control for multiple devices that they're running AI compute. And I feel people in the crypto space, they're very well enabled to do this kind of stuff. So I feel the next stage of people in the crypto space, they wake up, they have multiple apps on their phone, managing so many different exchanges and wallets and this and that. Folks that they are not in the crypto space, they don't know how to do this kind of stuff. So imagine you wake up in the morning, you open your phone, and you have like 500 AI nodes running across the planet, and you're looking at, today you're doing OCR, tomorrow you swap, and you do, let's say, image recognition, and the day after you do cancer research, and then you do vaccine research and all kind of stuff. I think that can introduce new jobs to people, as opposed to thinking that AI is going to replace jobs. There would be jobs that they're probably 1,000 times more effective than current jobs. But I'm so glad we're living at this day and age that we're providing that shift, and hopefully everyone can benefit from that.
Yeah, I think there's looks like Metavurse is ready to chime in. So would love to, would love to hear you comment on that, and then also love to hear about kind of the role that AI is playing at Alethea.
I just love how Toufi said this is one of the best times to be living, because I couldn't agree more. It's so interesting. The speed at which things are, it's exponential at how things are growing. ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT 4, and then all the work that's happening on Hugging Face with independent developers and hobbyists, and what they're doing with these technologies and what they're creating is just, it's fascinating to follow. And there are new dApps coming out daily that can increase your quality of life. Most are going unseen, except for the few people that are really following AI and the advancements that are happening. And even in the space, it's really hard to keep up, because there's so much that's evolving and changing. And then to answer your question, so AI is a core part of our tech stack. We allow all our users to leverage it to build new exciting things like INFTs, AI assets, and even AI dApps. Our flagship dApp, Noah's Ark, and it's noahsark.ai, is a place where you can create INFTs, talk with other users' created INFTs, which I personally find very exciting, because what users can do with these INFTs is create the personality that they want. So if they want it to be a hobbyist on Marvel, if they want them to know everything about a certain person in history, or even updating these INFTs with information on their life, so that their children or their children's children can come back and speak to this owned asset on blockchain, and learn things about themselves. I find that absolutely fascinating, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to work with Alethea. So these users are creating personalities for social media, for education, and for fun. And we also have our Revenant collection, which is a collection of 100 people of historic importance. There's Nietzsche. I could go through the list. I apologize, but these characters of historic importance that have been created INFTs and people can converse with. And I actually find the anthropomorphizing of AI quite fascinating as well, rather than doing, talking to ChatGPT and having a conversation via your keyboard. Having the AI kind of speak back to you and through these INFTs is really fun. It's a really fun process. And yeah, so that's AI's one of the core. It's the core part of our tech stack and everything that we're developing.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more that you guys are at kind of the forefront of this intersection. So definitely a lot of very exciting things there. And we'd love to pass it off to Jack and kind of again get your take on what role does AI play in your product? Can you share some examples?
Yeah, for sure. As I just mentioned, I think AI has like several roles in our product. For example, the first is how we help those innovators to generate these verifiable credentials. For example, when you link your GitHub or your Twitter, your wallet address to Aspecta, we use large language model and graph learning to help you generate this verifiable credential. For example, what kind of skill do you have based on your GitHub contribution? We use not only NLP but code NLP as well. So yeah, this is the first part to like generate the credentials. We also use graph learning to see like the proficiency of your skills, the impact of these credentials. For example, who give you a star in your GitHub contribution? Is a senior engineer was just nobody? That's also applied to this like data in Twitter or Stack Overflow. So in this way, I think the first aspect of AI in our product is like you use this language model and graph learning to help the user innovators to generate the verifiable credentials, where is the foundation of the Aspecta ID, the self-sovereignty digital identity, where they could choose how to utilize this verifiable credential, either to make it on-chain or use off-chain to interact with third-party applications. So I think this is the first and the major aspect of AI in Aspecta. The second is, I mentioned before, the DKML thing, because I think, like I mentioned, the large language model, the graph learning, the algorithm in Aspecta should be like open source, because this is the foundation or the most important thing to build this trust with our community, because this is a very sensitive part, because we are doing something related to digital identity. So we have to make sure people trust the product, people trust the algorithm. So we use ZKML to make the algorithm open source, but also protect some key weights in the algorithm. So we also help protect the user's privacy. So yeah, basically, I think this is how AI plays an important part in Aspecta's product and the ecosystem we're trying to build.
Yeah. Very exciting. Super exciting. I think there's a huge role that identity plays in kind of Web3 and using AI and creating that intersection. I think is going to yield a lot of very interesting results. So appreciate the context there. So I want to switch gears just a little bit and get into a little bit of the challenges and obstacles that come when integrating AI into Web3. So, what do you guys think are some of those main challenges and obstacles, and how do you think we can overcome them? Let's start with Hoansoo.
Sure, thank you. As Toufi mentioned before, we really believe that ultimately, in the end, compute is really the ultimate scarce resource. That's going to be the bottleneck as AI continues to explode and becomes popular. So, there's been some studies that show that already by 2030, the existing data centers that power traditional cloud services can cover only a mere 6% of projected total demand. So what can the world do? We can build more data centers, but they're very expensive, and most importantly, they're projected to represent the single biggest consumer of power drawn from the grid, and grid which uses natural gas and other fossil fuel. So we see our proposition of building decentralized computing network is really the only solution that can address this scale problem. And if you agree with this point, I think you'll quickly realize that the real pain point, the technical pain point, is actually not in the GPUs and the physical processors, but actually building the middleware that can seamlessly orchestrate and have individual nodes together function properly. So what are some of the technical challenges that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis? One, constructing a compute pool through a distributed network protocol to support AI training, fine-tuning, and inference. Two, engineering and developing a middleware to partition and orchestrate these AI tasks. And third, integrating compute contributors, users, and networks organically using blockchain, consensus protocols, and tokenomics to form a closed-loop ecosystem. And at present, you'll see that there are many out there that claim to be working on decentralized compute, but really, aside from us, we're not seeing anyone in this space really making any observable progress in either 1, 2, or 3.
Super interesting. I couldn't agree more that it looks like it's going to be a compute problem, but feels like a problem that eventually we're going to solve. And definitely feel like there's a big Web3 aspect in there that are going to help solve that issue as well. Being able to coordinate compute like that in decentralized fashion. So appreciate the context there. Love to pass it off to Metavurse and kind of get your take. Like, what do you think are the challenges and obstacles in integrating AI and Web3? How do you think we can overcome them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I find it absolutely fascinating what Jack, Toufi, and Hoansoo are building. I'm not the best to speak on technical advancements, so I'm sure they're going to have much better answers to this particular question. From my perspective, and again, I apologize for not answering the question directly here, but I see education and adoption as a very large barrier. The people listening in on the spaces are early trailblazers. The people developing are early trailblazers. I know I'm still having difficulty explaining blockchain technology to my friends, and which has been in the headlines. It's been in the headlines for years, but it's still a slightly foreign concept that people are they're a little bit hesitant to adopt and hesitant to learn more about. Artificial intelligence is the same way. But artificial intelligence has captured the minds of people with generative art and generative stories, and what ChatGPT is doing, it makes it feel a lot more tangible. So when we're talking about two very transformative new technologies, the combination of the two is even further away, right? And so explaining to people the core of these technologies and how they both benefit each other is very difficult. So I worked at Tesla for a while, 2016, and we were having trouble explaining to people what an electric car was. We would take a Tesla to a location, and people would ask us where you put gas in the car. It was such a foreign concept. So one of the things that Tesla had to do, and they took on, and they did it very well, is the education of an electric vehicle. And now, people are lobbying to shut them down. very early on because they were going D2C or direct to consumer and circumventing these legacy dealerships. We're in that now in both blockchain and artificial intelligence. So it's a fun thing to do. Things like this AMA help tremendously. But it's still very early in the space, and apologies on my non-technical answer.
No worries at all. No, I think you brought up some really great points about just the educational aspect and being able to cross some of these hurdles and bringing more people into the fold. So definitely think there was a lot in there to grasp. Would love to pass it over to Jack and kind of hear your take on maybe some of the technical challenges and obstacles.
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned, for example, it's the trustness of the AI algorithm. In Web2 world, it used to be a black box, but in Web3, we could leverage they can zero knowledge proof or something to make it trustless. I think the first thing. The second thing is that the data privacy, as I mentioned, like they're federal learning, trying to solve the problem of like data privacy. Using different machine learning algorithms to do not share the data, protect the data privacy. I think this is certainly one of the aspects has challenged, but people are working on it. I think the last but not the least is that everyone is talking about decentralized learning or decentralized computation. Everyone talking about the computational power. I think the challenge about this is that it's not only about the power, but also the communication. That's the reason in the past few years or in the traditional Web2 world, no matter it's for Google, AWS, Microsoft has their own computer center. If different computing module or connect to each other in a single computer center, the efficiency can be very high. But if we use AI to train the model in a decentralized way, the communication efficiency will be very low. I think this is a challenge we need to solve in order to improve the decentralized machine learning, decentralized computational power. It's not only about the capacity, it's more about the communication between different modules. Yeah, this is, I think, the challenge. And also, I'm excited to see if there is like solution to this problem.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I think the identity aspect and the privacy aspect of data is definitely an interesting place that there are some obstacles, and that integrating AI can help us overcome some of those obstacles. So appreciate that. And lastly, would love to pass it over to Toufi and kind of get your take on the challenges and obstacles in integrating AI in Web3.
Yeah, no, thanks so much. So one thing that I've noticed, most folks in the crypto space, or you want to call it Web3 or tomorrow Web5 or whatnot, most of the focus is kind of like selling to each other. A lot of the products, a lot of the things, it's kind of like B2C and whatnot. But when you look at 99% of the world that is functioning outside of the crypto space, they're not even aware of certain innovation and things that are happening. We felt this with HyperCycle, for example. When we sell the HyperCycle computation node to our customers, 99% of the money that they receive is coming from outside of the crypto world. In fact, like the demand of AI is coming from in form of fiat money somehow. Then they want to buy this. So I feel like this is going to be a huge challenge of how we can bridge them on into the crypto world, because they don't necessarily understand some aspects of self-sovereignty and all of these things. And why is that so important? Let's go to the smallest micro level. One machine is talking to another machine. Okay, so let's say machine A is telling machine B, "Hey, can you help me with this AI compute?" That's effectively a huge problem with the multi-agent system. Why? Because machine B would first answer machine B would be, why? Why would I help you? And machine A would say, oh, I'll pay you later. Of course, we all know in crypto space would be like, no. You may never pay me. So imagine, so what we've done with the HyperCycle, the actual native HYPC, is actually jumps out of the ledger and it sits inside a file that is 64 kilobyte. Why 64 kilobyte? Because that's a network packet size. So effectively, it can travel almost at the speed of light. All the cryptographic proofs inside that file, that is more like a container, or think about it as like the UPS truck. It takes that value and transmit it from one machine to the next and says like, here, I'm paying you 3 cents. All the cryptographic proofs are inside that this 3 cents becomes yours under the one condition, if you have the proof that you've done the AI computation that I'm asking you to do. Now, machine B would be like, that's pretty cool. If I do the work, that's 3 cents. I get to use it and spend it. Now, if you were to explain that concept to anyone in the crypto space, they would kind of get it very quickly. Maybe they spend 15 minutes and they get it. But people that they are working for Oracle or Microsoft or Google or Tencent or whatnot, they don't necessarily get it. They'd be like, well, wait a second. Where's that 3 cent come from? How is that 3 cent? Is that like some sort of monopoly money? But the beauty of what we've done here is that when machine A is talking to machine B, both of them they're transacting those HYPC. Of course, machine B is going to ask the question, is this monopoly money? But machine A has the phenomenal answer. Look at that answer. HYPC was purchased, let's say, by well, first of all, they both tell each other, we happen to be living on this planet that is governed by Homo sapiens. And the Homo sapiens, they determined that this thing is worth money to them because George, who happens to be Homo sapien, bought this HYPC for $10 from some exchange somewhere and gave me that $10, and I'm giving you 0.001 cent from that, or 0.0001% from it, to do this AI computation. You see, at that point, machine B is looking at the entire provenance. It's all cryptographic proofs. It's all math. And now machine B can be like, okay, this is real money. I can take it and use it to spend it on electricity or hardware and so on and so forth. See, that's fascinating that folks in the crypto space seem to get it a lot faster, but folks that they're not, they seem to struggle around that concept. It's like, wait, what? You guys can actually do this? And the answer is like, it's kind of like second nature to all of us here, but it is not second nature to them. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge learning curve when we convert the remaining 99% of the planet to become all cryptofied. And I think we will. I'm actually quite confident we will. It's just a matter of time of how we do it.
Yeah, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I love that.
Absolutely. My prediction has been for the last 10 years. I've been saying 2028, everything on the planet will be cryptofied. Mark my words.
Wow. Yeah, bold prediction. I'm very excited for. 2028, which can feel like a long time away, but we're just inching closer and closer. So, could not agree more that at this point it's more or less inevitable. So that not many things get us more bullish than that. So appreciate the thought there. So aside from your project particularly, I'm curious, what are some other use cases of AI that our panel has found most interesting? Would love to start off with Jack.
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat the question again? Some interruption regarding the network just now.
Yeah. What other use cases of AI have you found most interesting?
Interesting question. Let me summarize what I talked about through our AMA today. I talked about the credential generating. I talked about the ZKML. I talk about federal learning, and I also talk about the decentralized computing. I mean, is it has to be within Web3 or it can be beyond Web3?
Beyond Web3 is okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm interested about like the open source of ChatGPT. Because right now, the ChatGPT right now is still like not open source. I'm thinking about what if there will be like more open source module for ChatGPT, then more application can be built on it. Because right now, everyone want to build on ChatGPT should rely on OpenAI's API. I want to see what's the decentralization of the open source of ChatGPT is going on. I think that is one of the topics I'm following on beyond what I'm talking just now.
Awesome. Yeah. Tokenizing ChatGPT and maybe not tokenizing it, but yeah, like open sourcing it and allowing people to build their own models and build models on top of that model, and then you can even get into the whole AGI discussion, which is probably a whole another layer that might take us another hour to go through. So I appreciate the thought there. Would love to pass it off to Hoansoo, and same thing. Besides what you guys are working on, what are some other use cases of AI that interest you?
Sure. I mean, for starters, so we're currently interacting with AI via a chatbot, but eventually there's going to be a face. So it's very easy to imagine there being a really human-like virtual personal assistant that you can interact with, and with a range of abilities to really help and raise your efficiency on a day-to-day basis. So we're at exaBITS. We've been focused a lot on computer vision models. These models are generating vast amounts of content every day. We see creative design work being replaced by AI across various industries. A good example is AI-generated models for retail clothing to not only replace human models, but to engineer that perfect look for a specific piece of garment to optimize marketing metrics. And I'm sure that this sort of strategic marketing and visual intelligence is going to be applied across the board to many different industries.
Very interesting. Super interesting context there. Would love to pass it over to Metavurse, and same thing. What are some other use cases of AI that you guys are finding pretty interesting?
Yeah, I'm gonna go totally off the wall here, and this is just personal, but I'm really excited about the incorporation of AI in fashion. I really love this. I think so in the early 90s, there were 30 companies telling everyone what is cool to wear. And I'm guilty of buying those things and wearing that, this personal style. And then with the advancement of the internet and social media, there are now thousands of influencers who are disrupting like these fashion houses and companies that are telling you what's cool. Now you have individual influencers based off of what you like, and you can follow them. But I'm so interested to see what happens with AI now that people can actually create what they want instantly via natural language through an AI model. Where are they going to get inspiration is the question. It's from the past. But I do think we'll see some new creative developments. I feel like the 2000s have been make the old new again, right? Like 80s music is still really cool. This transcends fashion, by the way, but I'm just focusing in on it. But it's been make the old new and make it cool and update it with whatever technology's out there, but it's still very relevant. Like you can still hear Nirvana on Sirius XMU, right? Which is supposedly like the newest music that's coming out, because the past is still relevant and still cool. But I think with the advancement of AI, we'll see, the next Nirvana come out. We'll see the next individual setting a style, either via fashion or music or movies. I'm really excited about seeing some new things come rather than this old IP being renewed and shoved down our throats.
I love it. I think a good way to summarize that is just like abundance, right? So like, what does the world look like when everybody has an abundance of thought, abundance of outcomes, and abundance of choice? And I think fashion is a good way to kind of culminate all of that. Is like, yeah, if you can build and create and make anything you want, what are people wearing? How does that look? How does that transform this, kind of, what's probably like the oldest industry ever? Love the thought there. Appreciate you kind of sharing that with us. And then, yeah, I would love to pass it over to Toufi. I'm sure you have quite a bit of things you're very excited about, but besides what you guys are working on, what are some other AI use cases that you're super interested by?
Definitely. I think almost every single AI that I see is the something besides what we're working on, because we're not AI, we're more like the network for AI. So every single day I see more and more AI, fascinating AI projects that they're doing, things like adaptability, for example, for health. That seems to be super exciting. It's effectively when you have this doctor that gets to know you more and more and more than you know yourself, than any doctor would be able to know you, and able to describe and prescribe and help human doctors prescribe things to you that they're like so much better than any doctor ever before. And if you were to ever get into some injury or whatnot, you're able to recover a lot faster. And like the adaptability, I would say, is something that I find it fascinating. And I'm getting more and more exposed to this kind of stuff every single day, because effectively folks, when they're building those AI engines, they want their AI engine to be smarter than the current plateau that they have reached. And when they look at the micro level of each and every agent, of how those agents going to collaborate with other agents, they kind of like find out, oh, look at that, HyperCycle does that. So that's how I get exposed to those things. So like most recent one is called like Awakening Health, and of course the folks around here would know like the Singularity Net platform, and there's the new net. There's like it's just sometimes I wake up and I feel like, how fortunate are we, all of us, that we are the very first species, as far as we know, in the 5 billion years of this planet, that we're able to work together to give birth to this new species that will outlive us all. And it's probably going to be like the most fascinating baby that we're giving birth to, that AI thing, because Homo sapien, we've been around this planet for 200,000 years, and it's been around for 5 billion years. So we would be delusional if we were to think that we're going to be here forever. But we are giving birth to that baby together, all of us, all 8 billion people. And it's fascinating to see those applications, to have the adaptability around the Homo sapiens. So it's kind of like that's how that baby is inheriting part of our DNA. How awesome is that?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This is when we get into a little bit of the sci-fi, and this is where things get fun. But yeah, like
but it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, people would be like, "This is sci-fi," but it's happening right now. We are giving that birth. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we can't really call it sci-fi anymore, but yeah, I know there's like a couple prominent schools of thought that just kind of believe that this is the next step of evolution, right? We go from organisms to primates to Homo sapiens and maybe this is just that next level of evolution where we go cyborg, right? And it's some kind of cross between AGI and some elements of human consciousness, or maybe we're solving consciousness and being able to put it inside of a computer or some kind of system like that. So this is when the wheels start turning and things are getting fun. But yeah, I think we're just starting to scratch the surface about where these things can go. So this is always just fun to kind of get the wheels turning a little bit. So always appreciate your perspective. So before we head out, I do want to give everybody a chance to kind of give a little bit of a shout out. You guys have been so generous with your time, so I'd love to give everybody an opportunity to just kind of talk us through, the roadmap and what you guys have going on with your individual projects, any significant updates that you guys have planned for, your products this year. So would love to start off with Metavurse from Alethea AI and just any significant updates or plans you guys have for your product this year.
Yeah, so I see you trying to get me fired here. We actually we announced today Open Fusion, which is going to be we're going to be able to imbue any NFT with artificial intelligence at noahsark.ai. But as far as further updates coming this year, we actually have already on schedule a community update. We'll be hosting that via Zoom. I really invite anyone here to follow us at real_Alethea to get the update when we announce it. But as I mentioned, I can't give away the alpha at this moment, but we have a lot of incredible things in store. I really hope all of you listening will follow us and check us out. We're doing some incredible things over Alethea AI. So check us out. We have, as I mentioned, a Zoom call with the community with a lot of alpha. We'll be answering this question specifically on the 15th of June, 7 days away. But I also want to thank you guys at Meta Era and Bitmart and all of the hosts for having me here. I appreciate the time, and this has been really fun. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I was hoping we were getting a little more alpha, but I guess we'll settle for an announcement of the announcement.
Yeah. I apologize. I love my job. It's a great job. So I'll have to keep that.
Was hoping I might get a chance to steal it, but I guess I'll live. So appreciate you giving us a little bit of an insight there. Would love to pass it off to Jack and just same thing. Any updates you guys have planned for this year? I think you may still be muted, Jack. Okay, I think we'll come back to Jack from Aspecta. We'd love to pass it over to Toufi. And what are you guys working on? What are any updates you guys have for the product this year?
Yes, thank you. So we're releasing that for the 52,000 nodes, the actual first version that runs those, and then we're hoping to get the remaining 160,000 homed somewhere. We're fairly new. I mean, 4 weeks ago we had our first very, very conservative TGE, and it's been going great to be honest, because it's like we're trying to be very, very conservative, slow and steady. I only heard recently about Bitmart, and we've going to be listed, I think, there over the next few days. When some of my team members they looked at it, and then they kind of recommended, they're like, it's got a very good onboarding and all of this stuff. And for us, to be honest, what I've described earlier is something that is extremely crucial for all of us to have that takeaway. The thing that we're releasing, the reason why people buy the HYPC or whatnot, is because they want to enable that machine to talk to other machines. Remember, those machines, they cannot talk to each other. Otherwise, they DDoS each other. That's why you have CAPTCHA. Why do you think you have CAPTCHA? It's because we need to block certain attacks. But when you enable one machine to talk to another machine, it needs to have the provenance. The provenance needs to come from Homo sapien. And I feel like it's quite fascinating to do that. And we've got to do it right. And that's why we're going very, very conservatively in one step at a time with those releases. And we appreciate the folks that they're helping us out. We're getting tremendous amount of help. I was actually very pleased to see that folks in the crypto space, they're kind of growing. Because if you were to look at it 4 or 5 years ago, there were a lot of haters, and now people, they kind of start looking at each other and be like, you know what, I can see some deficiency here. Maybe I can help fill it up, as opposed to just criticizing and for the sake of criticizing. So I think that's very nice and cooperative, and that's what enable us to continue to grow. Yeah, so that's what I expect over the next few weeks, is that release and that listing on Bitmart, and how things will unfold. Will continue to be very conservative, because we owe it to all of our community and everyone on this planet.
Yeah, appreciate you giving us all the insight, and as you know, we're pretty excited about the Bitmart listing. But yeah, would love to pass it over to Jack.
Yeah,
and hear about any updates you guys have.
I just muted. Yeah. So yeah, for the update about Aspecta, I think the coming 6 months is a very exciting period for Aspecta, because we have been doing this closed beta testing for a while. And we have over 130K Aspecta ID holders in the waiting list. We have activated these Aspecta ID holders, these innovators across Web2 and Web3 through integration with different hackathons, course providers, hacker house incubation, third-party applications. We are expected the open beta, which means you do not need to you do not need invitation code to access your Aspecta ID in about 2 to 3 months. So I think this is a major update. And regarding the developer ecosystem and services, we are currently provide the solution with several like layer 1, layer 2, and also some developer-oriented communities. We expected this kind of ecosystem and services will expand to more layer 1 and layer 2 in the coming 2 to 3 months. So in general, I think we expected a major growth of Aspecta ID ecosystem. Yeah, I think still Aspecta is a project built based on the product. We have the faith that product market fit always come the first, and then it's our like token market fit. So yeah, I mean I would appreciate everyone who are interested in AI Web3 in Aspecta to follow us Twitter, because we will have this exciting product update coming very soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate the inside scoop there. So I guess the only update we have left is need one from Hoansoo from exaBITS.
Sure. So we're currently working on building and plan on releasing our testnet by the second half of this year, and the mainnet by 2024. On our testnet, you'll be able to enable mining rigs and individuals to contribute their GPUs to the computing network, demo interactive AI applications on our cloud, and give limited access to our computing network to developers to build their AI applications, though they will need to apply and get whitelisted. So please stay tuned and follow our journey at exabits.ai, and our Twitter handle is at exa_bits. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Hoansoo, and thank you to all of our guests today for taking the time to come out and chat with us. I think there's so much that we learned today about just this massive intersection of Web3 and AI. So anytime for everyone in the audience, anytime your friends tell you that they're really excited about AI, just be ready to pull out some of the tidbits that you learned today about how these two areas just have such a massive intersection. So appreciate everybody's time. Once again, we had Jack, who's a co-founder of Aspecta. We have Hoansoo, a co-founder at exaBITS. We had Toufi, Saliba, who is the author of Toda/IP and the CEO at HyperCycle AI. And we had Metavurse, who is the head of partnerships at Alethea AI. We had an incredible panel. I do recommend you guys give everybody here a follow and their projects, show them some support. And thank you guys again for joining from the audience. Thank you to our guests for joining. This was another Off the Chain Twitter Space AMA. Thank you to Bitmart for giving us an opportunity to host, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks so much for having us. And just one last thing, remember, this is not just hype. This is HyperCycle. Anyway, I like to end it with a joke. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Take care.